As soon as Justice Antonin Scalia died, Republicans started talking about a long-standing tradition that the Senate does not do Supreme Court confirmations in presidential years. That's not actually been the case. In the last century, 5 people have been confirmed in national campaign years. 1 has been stopped by a filibuster, but not 1 nomination has been outright ignored. 3 decades ago, Anthony Kennedy was confirmed 97-0, the Democratic Senate doing nothing to stand in the way of the final nomination by a lame duck Republican, Ronald Reagan, just as the primaries to pick his successor were getting started. To be sure, there's an important asterisk on this one. Kennedy was Reagan's 3rd choice back in the fall of 1987, when Robert Bork was rejected following the most contentious Supreme Court confirmation fight of all time. And the next pick withdrew after admitting that he'd smoked marijuana, a total no-no back in those days. After all that drama, liberal Democrats and GOP conservatives were pretty exhausted and decided to just wave through Kennedy, who was then an obscure appeals court judge in California. 1968 was the last big election year Supreme Court showdown. Several months after Lyndon Johnson decided not to run again, Chief Justice Earl Warren announced his retirement. LBJ then announced that June that he wanted to promote one of his best buddies, Abe Fortas, from Associate Justice to be chief. Many Republicans joined conservative Southern Democrats in declaring it was too late for their nemesis, the liberal lame duck LBJ, to put another mark on the court. But that argument by itself didn't stop the nominee. It took evidence that Fortas had advised the White House even after joining the court and had a somewhat shady deal to supplement his income. But even then, the hearings and the debate went forward, and the nomination wasn't effectively scuttled until 1 month before Election Day, when the Senate voted in favor of keeping alive a filibuster, and the nomination died. That's the only time in the last 100 years when an election year nominee has been rebuffed. And it's the only time in American history when a pick for the court who made it to the Senate floor was denied a true up or down vote. The 4 other campaign season confirmations all happened under presidents who were running for re-election. Plenty of senators were angry at Franklin Roosevelt for pushing the New Deal, trying to pack the court, and deciding to seek a 3rd term. But that didn't prevent FDR from putting his Attorney General, Frank Murphy, on the court in 1940. Republican Herbert Hoover was facing a hostile Democratic Senate and an uphill fight for a 2nd term in early 1932. He responded by nominating a legal celebrity and a liberal Democrat in Benjamin Cardozo, who's widely seen as one of the court's greatest members. So is Louis Brandeis, one of the 2 justices that Woodrow Wilson got confirmed in the summer of 1916. By the way, one of the seats was open then by Charles Evans Hughes, who decided that he'd rather be the Republican nominee for president that year than stay on the court. At least that much history is highly unlikely to be repeated this year.